You ever feel like there's something missing inside you that you can't name? Not sadness exactly, not depression, not anxiety, but something else? An emptiness that sits right in the center of your chest. You wake up and it's there. You go through your day and it's there. You try to fill it with work, with relationships, with achievements, with distractions, with anything you can grab hold of, but nothing works. Nothing sticks. The emptiness remains. And what makes it worse is that you can't explain it to anyone. How do you describe nothing? How do you point to an absence? How do you show someone a void that exists inside you but has no shape, no color, no weight that anyone else can measure? So you stop trying. You smile and nod and pretend the emptiness isn't there. But it is. Every single day, it's there. And maybe you've started to wonder if you're broken somehow, if there's something fundamentally wrong with you that no one else experiences. Because when you look around, everyone else seems full of purpose, full of joy, full of certainty about who they are and where they're going. But you're hollow. There's a vacuum inside you that nothing can fill. And the worst part is that most people will tell you it's not real. They'll say you have everything you need. They'll list all the good things in your life as if that should be enough to fill the void. But it's not about what you have. It's about what's missing. It's about the space inside you that shouldn't exist but does. And no matter how much you pour into it, it never fills up. It just stays empty, this impossible nothingness that weighs more than anything solid ever could. But what if I told you that this emptiness you feel is not only real but provable? That there's actual scientific evidence that nothingness exists? That voids are not just in your head but are fundamental to the universe itself? In the 1640s, the entire scientific community believed that nature abhors a vacuum, that empty space was impossible, that nothingness could not exist. But Blaise Pascal proved them all wrong. He didn't just theorize about emptiness. He demonstrated it. He measured it. He climbed mountains carrying glass tubes filled with mercury to prove that the void was real, that the pressure of invisible forces was crushing us all, and that the nothingness everyone denied was actually holding everything together. This is not just a story about physics. This is about the courage to prove that what you feel is real, even when everyone tells you it's impossible. This is about understanding that the invisible forces pressing down on you are as real as gravity, and that the emptiness you carry has a name, has a cause, has a reason for existing. So pay attention to every word that follows, because Pascal's journey from doubt to certainty mirrors your own. And by the end, you'll understand something that changes everything. In 1643, a man named Evangelista Torricelli did something that shocked the scientific world. He took a glass tube, sealed it at one end, filled it completely with mercury, then flipped it upside down into a dish of mercury, and something impossible happened. The mercury column dropped. It didn't stay at the top of the tube. It fell, leaving a space above it, an empty space, a void. The scientific establishment went into crisis mode. This couldn't be real. Aristotle himself had declared that nature abhors a vacuum, and for nearly 2,000 years, everyone believed him. Empty space was philosophically impossible, theologically dangerous, scientifically absurd. So they invented explanations. Invisible threads holding the mercury up, mysterious vapors filling the space, secret forces that only looked like emptiness but were actually something. But Pascal saw what they refused to see. He looked at that empty space above the mercury and understood something profound. The void was real, and more than that, it was measurable. Because if the space was truly empty, if there was truly nothing there, then the only thing holding the mercury up was the pressure of the atmosphere pushing down on the mercury in the dish. Invisible pressure. A force no one could see but everyone could feel if they knew how to look. And Pascal knew how to look, because Pascal understood something about emptiness that the philosophers never grasped. He understood that absence is as real as presence, that nothing is as powerful as something, that the void is not the enemy of existence, but its foundation. So he designed experiments, not just thought experiments, not just philosophical arguments, real, physical, testable demonstrations that would prove the vacuum existed beyond any doubt. He convinced his brother-in-law, Florine Perrier, to climb the Puy de Dôme mountain in central France, carrying one of Torricelli's mercury barometers. And here's what mattered. If the space above the mercury was truly empty, if atmospheric pressure was the only thing supporting the column, then at higher altitudes, where the air is thinner, where there's less atmosphere pressing down, the mercury column should drop even further. And that's exactly what happened. At the base of the mountain, the mercury stood at a certain height. But as Perrier climbed higher and higher, the mercury dropped lower and lower. The void expanded. The nothingness grew. And everyone who witnessed it had to face an uncomfortable truth. The emptiness was real. Think about what this means for a moment. Pascal proved that invisible pressure is constantly pushing down on you. Right now, as you sit here, the entire weight of the atmosphere is pressing against your body with a force of about 14.7 pounds per square inch. You don't feel it because it's constant. It's always there. It's the baseline of your existence, but it's crushing you nonetheless. And in the same way, there are invisible pressures in your life that you've stopped noticing because they're constant. The weight of expectations, the force of unspoken rules, the pressure to be someone you're not, to want what you're supposed to want, to fill your life with meaning that someone else defined. And just like atmospheric pressure, you don't feel it until something changes, until you climb higher and the pressure drops and suddenly you can breathe again. But here's where it gets even deeper. Pascal didn't stop with proving the vacuum existed. He wanted to understand why it mattered. Why had God created a universe where nothingness was not only possible but necessary? And the answer he found changed his life. The void was not a flaw in creation, it was a feature. Because the emptiness is what creates space for everything else. The vacuum is what allows pressure to move, fluids to flow, life to exist. Without the void, everything would be static, frozen, dead. The nothingness is what makes change possible. And Pascal realized that the same principle applied to the soul. The emptiness inside you is not a mistake. It's not something to be ashamed of, or hidden, or denied. It's the space where transformation happens. It's the void that God created in you so that something new could be born. You've been feeling that pressure, haven't you? That invisible force pushing down on your chest, making it hard to breathe, making it hard to move forward. And you've tried to explain it to people, but they don't get it. They can't see what's weighing on you because it's invisible. Just like atmospheric pressure was invisible to everyone before Pascal proved it existed. I need you to know something right now. What you're feeling is real. The weight is real. The pressure is real. The void inside you is real. And it's not your fault for feeling crushed by forces that no one else can see. If you've ever felt like you're carrying a weight that no one understands, I want you to do something for me. I want you to type in the comments, I feel the invisible pressure. Just those 5 words. Because when you name the emptiness, when you acknowledge the void, you take the first step toward understanding it. And your comment does something more than that. It tells someone else who's reading through these comments late at night, feeling alone, feeling crazy, feeling like they're the only one who feels this way, that they're not alone, that the pressure is real, that the void is real, that we're all carrying it together. So take a moment, pause this video if you need to, and type those 5 words. I feel the invisible pressure. Because the moment you name it, it loses some of its power over you. And we can continue this journey together. Now let's talk about what Pascal discovered next. Because this is where the physics becomes theology and the science becomes spiritual. Pascal realized that the vacuum experiments revealed something fundamental about human nature. We are beings caught between 2 infinities. Above us, the infinite expanse of space. Below us, the infinite smallness of atoms. And in between, we exist in a kind of void. Too large to understand the microscopic world, too small to comprehend the cosmic one. Suspended in nothingness, pressing against us from all sides. And this terrified Pascal because it meant that human beings are fundamentally displaced. We don't belong to either infinity. We're orphaned in the middle, carrying a void within us that mirrors the void around us. But here's what Pascal understood that most people miss. The void is not the problem. The void is the invitation. Because God created that emptiness, specifically so that it could be filled with something that matters, not with distractions, not with achievements, not with the endless accumulation of things that decay and disappear, but with something eternal, something that doesn't drain away like mercury in a tube, but stays, grows, transforms. And Pascal found what filled his void on November 23rd, 1654. He called it the Night of Fire, a mystical encounter with the living God that was so powerful, so transformative, so real that he wrote it down on a piece of paper and sewed it into the lining of his coat. He carried that paper next to his heart for the rest of his life because it wasn't a theory, it wasn't philosophy, it was the thing that finally filled the emptiness. And this brings us to why Pascal's contemporaries ignored his vacuum experiments for so long. It wasn't because the science was unclear, the experiments were repeatable, the evidence was overwhelming, but accepting the void meant accepting something terrifying about existence itself. It meant admitting that emptiness is woven into the fabric of reality, that nothingness is not an aberration but a foundation, that the universe contains spaces where nothing exists, and those spaces are necessary for everything else to work. The scientific community resisted this for decades because it challenged their entire worldview. It suggested that God had created incompleteness into the design of the universe. And if the universe was incomplete, if it contained voids that needed filling, then maybe human beings were incomplete too. Maybe we were designed with emptiness built in, waiting for something to fill it. I know where you are right now. You've been watching this video, and something inside you is shifting. You're starting to see that the emptiness you've been fighting against, trying to deny, desperately attempting to fill with anything that would work, might actually be the most important thing about you. It might be the very thing that makes transformation possible. And if you're feeling that shift, I want to invite you to do something. Hit that subscribe button. Not because I need the numbers, but because you need the reminder. You need a place where you can come back when the pressure feels too heavy, when the void feels too empty, when the invisible forces feel too strong. This channel exists to help you understand that what you feel is real, that the emptiness has meaning, and that the pressure can be transformed. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and know that you're not alone in this. We're building something here. A community of people who are willing to look at the void without flinching, who are brave enough to name the emptiness, who understand that the pressure is real, but so is the possibility of relief. Let's go deeper into what Pascal's vacuum experiments actually revealed about the nature of pressure. Pascal's principle states that pressure applied to a confined fluid is transmitted undiminished in all directions. Think about what that means emotionally. When pressure enters your life from one direction, it doesn't stay contained. It spreads. It fills every space. It touches everything. One bad day at work becomes tension in your relationships. One failure becomes doubt about everything. One moment of weakness becomes a story you tell yourself about who you are. The pressure distributes equally throughout your entire existence, just like Pascal proved it does with fluids. And this is why you can't just fix one area of your life and expect the pressure to disappear. Because pressure doesn't work that way. It's systemic, it's total, it fills the entire container of your being. But here's the profound part. Pascal also discovered that pressure seeks equilibrium. It flows from high pressure to low pressure until balance is achieved. And this is the key to understanding how to deal with the invisible forces crushing you. You can't eliminate pressure. It's part of existing in this universe. But you can create spaces of lower pressure where the weight can flow, where the burden can distribute, where the crushing force can find relief. And that's what spiritual practice is. That's what community is. That's what honest conversation with another human being is. You're creating low pressure zones where the weight can go, spaces where the void can expand without destroying you. Pascal spent years studying fluids and vacuums. But in 1654, something changed. He realized that all his scientific knowledge, all his mathematical genius, all his experimental proof of invisible forces and empty spaces was leading him toward a single question. What fills the void? What relieves the pressure? What substance is strong enough to occupy the emptiness without evaporating like mercury, without dissipating like air, without failing like everything human beings try to pour into the hole inside them? And his answer was not scientific. It was mystical. It was the encounter with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not the God of philosophers, not an abstract principle or a logical conclusion, but a living presence that entered the void and filled it completely. From that night forward, Pascal's entire focus shifted. He stopped doing experiments. He stopped publishing scientific papers. He devoted the rest of his life to writing about the human condition, about the nature of faith, about the reality of grace, because he had found what the vacuum was for. He had discovered that the emptiness was not a problem to be solved, but a space prepared for something holy. And this is what terrifies most people about Pascal's story, because it suggests that all your attempts to fill the void with career success, with relationships, with experiences, with knowledge, with anything except the one thing it was designed for, will fail. The void will remain. The pressure will continue. The invisible force will keep crushing you until you stop running from the emptiness and start asking what it's trying to show you. Here's what Pascal proved that no one wanted to believe. Nothingness exists. The void is real. Emptiness is not an illusion or a mistake or a sign of weakness. It's a fundamental feature of reality. And once you accept that, once you stop fighting against the emptiness and start exploring it, you discover something extraordinary. The void is not empty after all. It's full of potential, full of possibility, full of space for something new to be born. The mercury falls in the tube not because something is wrong, but because that's how pressure works. That's how transformation works. That's how change becomes possible. You have to create the void first. You have to let go of what was filling the space. You have to allow the emptiness to exist before anything new can enter. And this is why Pascal's work was ignored for so long. Because accepting the void means accepting uncertainty. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers, that you can't control everything, that there are forces beyond your understanding pressing down on you every moment. It means looking at the emptiness inside you and acknowledging that it's not going away, that you can't think your way out of it, or work your way past it, or distract yourself from it. You can only face it, name it, measure it, understand it, and then, maybe, discover what it's been waiting for all along. Pascal's vacuum was not just a scientific discovery, it was a spiritual revelation. He proved that the nothingness everyone denied was actually holding everything together, that the pressure everyone ignored was shaping every moment, that the invisible forces no one could see were the most real things in the universe, and he showed that the same principles apply to your inner life. The emptiness you feel is real. The pressure weighing you down is measurable. The invisible forces crushing your spirit are as tangible as atmospheric pressure. And understanding them, naming them, facing them without flinching is the first step toward transformation. So where does that leave you? Right now, in this moment, with the knowledge that the void is real and the pressure is constant and the emptiness is not going away? It leaves you with a choice. You can keep pretending the pressure doesn't exist, keep trying to fill the void with things that evaporate, keep running from the emptiness that defines your humanity, or you can do what Pascal did. You can turn toward the void. You can measure the pressure. You can climb your own mountain carrying your own barometer and prove to yourself that what you feel is real. And then you can ask the question that Pascal asked. What fills this space? What substance is strong enough to occupy the emptiness without disappearing? What presence is powerful enough to relieve the pressure without crushing you in the process? Pascal found his answer in the night of fire. You might find yours in a different moment, a different encounter, a different revelation, but the void is waiting. The emptiness is calling. The pressure is real and it's not going away. And the only question that matters is whether you have the courage to face it, to name it, to understand it, and to discover what it's been trying to teach you all along. Because Pascal didn't prove that nothingness exists to depress you or terrify you or make you feel small. He proved it to show you that even in the emptiness, especially in the emptiness, there is room for something extraordinary to be born. The void is not your enemy, it's your teacher. And the pressure is not your curse. It's your invitation to climb higher, to breathe deeper, to discover that relief exists even when the weight feels unbearable. That's what Pascal knew. That's what he proved. And that's what's available to you right now, in this moment, if you're willing to stop running and start exploring the emptiness you've been carrying all along.